Hello StarCraft fans, this is Falcon Paladin coming to you with yet another weekly edition of Mid-Rank Madness. In the top left of Lerilak Crest, we have the red Zerg player, it is zananzun. And in the bottom right of Lerilak Crest, we have the blue Protoss player, it is GPX, sporting one of those fancy trophies you can get by signing up for an online tournament in the Legacy of the Void client. Pretty fancy stuff you can show off. So a couple of housekeeping items here. This is a Wednesday cast of Midrank Madness. I usually like to do this on Tuesdays, but I've had some trouble with my microphone recently. I have a Blue Yeti microphone. I originally purchased it back in March when I got my start with casting. I had to get a replacement sent to me in June because the original one developed a crackle. And this new replacement is actually doing a lot of buzzing and fizzing, especially on X and S sounds. You could probably hear that at home. I apologize for the inconvenience. I do have Blue microphones sending me a new Yeti in the mail here very, very soon. But in the meantime, I do have to do a couple casts without it, or without that replacement. And so this is going to be a little bit weird with the sound. Bear with me on that. The other thing you'll notice is that I have the original replay interface because there was another patch with Legacy of the Void, and it broke my ability to use servant obs in my replays. And so unfortunately, we are using this one. I did have somebody comment on a video the other day where they said, hey, I actually appreciate the old interface because you have things like these 3D portraits down here that you don't get with servant obs. So anyway, that's what's going on. That's a little bit of the housekeeping stuff. Again, bear with me on the sound quality here. I hopefully was able to get the sound mixed correctly for the music, because another thing that happens when I have to load in an older version of StarCraft 2 is that all the volumes go to 100%, and I have to change them to make them make sense and be so that everything is, I guess you can hear everything properly there at home. So again, I apologize for any problems you might have with this cast. We should be back to normal here very, very soon indeed. So actually a pool into extractor into hatchery here for zananzun. Did not go for a hatch first play. Again, here at these lower levels, it can be a little bit scary to do so, but that's okay. And it looks like about a 1 gate into cyber core into an expansion for our friend GPX. So again, both players a little bit careful, not being too crazy with Nexus first plays or hatch first plays or anything like that. Again, that's pretty standard, but I'm not sure that zananzun feels happy enough to do that. So he does have 2 queens. 1 queen is on the way. 1 queen is going to run down here, throw down a creep tumor eventually, and then come down here and hopefully start to inject at this space. Another queen coming up as well. And hey, I missed it. zananzun actually has his own trophy. So both these players playing StarCraft 2 fairly well at this point. And do I have continuous music turned on? I don't think I do. Continuous music. There it is. And we're done. There it is. Alright, so an Adept holding the line, chrono boosting out his Warp Gate research. Here is GPX. Right now it is 32 to 31 Harvesters. Both players keeping on up. That second base just now finishing for GPX. Immediately chrono boosting out some more workers there as well. And is that a macro? Is this 2? Oh, structures. Production. Wow, the wrong tab up there. Okay, so we're in production. A hive is on the way for zananzun, as well as metabolic boost. Again, Warp Gate, a sentry coming up. More workers and overlords. So another player really getting supply blocked all of that severely. zananzun is supply blocked right now, but has a couple overlords on the way. More and more gateways being constructed for GPX. Overlord checking to make sure a third doesn't come down without the Zerg player knowing about that. And here it is, a designated creep queen throwing down that creep tumor at the front door. This queen is here all about injecting this one as well, injecting her little face off. And we'll see the timing on this. Not bad at all, not bad at all. zananzun looking pretty good. Adept just checking to make sure there are no Zerglings inside this mineral line, and there are not. They're here to make sure no Zergling run-bys come and kill him, because GPX has left this ramp wide open. Usually Protoss players will like to put their buildings up here, so it's at least difficult for Lings to get in, and then maybe knock down these rocks as well, then take their third. But on this map, GPX is proving instead that they would rather go ahead and kind of wall up here, make it hard for Lings to get around using buildings this way. Meanwhile, what is this? There's a Hydralisk Den, a pretty quick 2-base Hydra here from zananzun. And GPX is getting his robotics facility, likely going to be an Immortal, possibly an Observer here in the early game. And Mothership Core just watching over all of it. Overlord is going to scout on here for zananzun. Not going to see much. There are really no tech structures here, and going to be an Overseer, so should be able to get a full scout off on this base. Chrono Boost there on the Immortal, immediately hopping into an Immortal here is GPX. zananzun, meanwhile, is morphing that Hydralisk Den into a Lurker Den. Hey, 2-base Lurker here from zananzun. There is a lair, so obviously those are for the Lurkers. Perhaps a siege is intended here at the front door for those Lurkers. A move out here with GPX, going to knock down these rocks, as I mentioned a little bit ago. Sentries lending their DPS. It's not a lot. It is 6 DPS with a weapon speed of 7.71. A few Lings coming in here, and they might be able to kill some stuff, but no. GPX recognizes what's going on. The Lings come scouting on in. They see there's not a third base quite yet. They are going to get cleaned up, though. Immediately killed by this army here from GPX. Stalkers, Sentries, and Adepts working together, finally knocking down this rock tower and creating some rocks that need to be killed in order for an attack to come from that area. Excellent, excellent choice there by GPX. More and more Immortals being Chrono Boost out by our Protoss player. Our Zerg player is getting 5 Hydras, getting another Overseer. Oh, and there's a Nidus Network. How did I miss that? Okay, so there is a Nidus Network coming up. zananzun has some plans in mind. Overseer is not actually scouting, which tells me we're probably going to see a Nidus thrown down right here. Possibly one up here, a little bit more difficult to do just because there is vision on these buildings. I have to assume this will be the location. Lurkers are coming in now, and can a Hallucinated Phoenix scout this out? Where did it go? I think it ran out of energy. And no, I mean, at this point, GPX is completely blind, has no idea what the Zerg player is doing. And there comes that Nidus Network at the same time that GPX is putting down his third base. A lot of Lings in production. A lot of stuff in this Nidus Network. A bunch of Hydras, a whole bunch of Queens. 4 or 5 Queens. Hydras as well. And here comes the Nidus. It explodes. And coming out are the Queens, are the Hydras, are the Lurkers. And are they going to start the attack? They are. The Lurker's going to walk right on in here. Burrow. An immediate retreat of all of these probes by GPX. Well played indeed, good sir. But a lot of damage here. Here comes the army for GPX. Can he deal with this? He's going to try to go for it. Some force fields thrown down, catching a Hydra. The Lings don't really want to engage here, but they do anyway. They get right on top of one of those Adepts. And Hydra here getting cleaned up as well. The Lurker's trying to stab down. A good transfuse. Keeping that Lurker alive, though. Lurker's taking down this Nexus. GPX in a lot of trouble here. He cannot afford to lose this Nexus at all. There are so many Lurkers inside his main base, though, and these Queens aren't even trying to attack anything. GPX is going to abandon the main as the Nexus falls. Creep Tumors getting laid down. Spines coming from the high ground to the low ground can actually hit this mineral line. And I think at this point GPX realizes he needs to deal with this, catching a bunch of Queens out of position. Pretty good force fields there. And 1 Queen, 2 Queens, 3 Queens go down there for almost nothing. GPX did not lose much of anything at all there. It is 93 to 77 total supply. It is 2 base, almost 3 base, 3 base there now against the 1 base, almost 2 basing Protoss. The Spines are laying siege to everything, slowly moving on up here, wanting to kill that robotics facility. Disruptor comes in, doesn't hit much of anything, does end up catching one of the Lurkers, but that's about it. Transfuse keeping it alive. And another Transfuse keeping these guys alive. This Queen Lurker synergy working out really well for zananzun, not spending his money at all. Is a lot of money in that bank, but again, this is a lower level game. That is to be expected. Purification Nova comes in and brings a lot of these units down to a very low health. The Queens do manage to stay alive, though. The Spine's chasing him out. Good Disruptor hit. Killing, I think, 2 Queens and a Lurker there. Another Lurker ends up falling. GPX now deciding to go for it with his Immortals. Zerglings are trying to help out, and actually one of the Lurkers is still alive here. Almost catching that Immortal. Another Purification Nova comes in. Bam, killing. 1 hit and 2 hits. So finally, the infestation does get cleaned up inside GPX's base. zananzun recognizing, okay, so technically there are still 3 Nexus out for GPX. He didn't lose too many workers there. Units lost, resources-wise, about 4,000 to 4,500. And Disruptor count right now is at a total of 2 with an Immortal, 5 Stalkers, and 7 Adepts for GPX. zananzun hasn't been making that much. Has 5 Queens, and that's about it. I mean, that's really not very much right here. Getting another hatchery, a macro hatch, double evolution chamber as well. That worker count right now is 58 to 43. Zananzun looking very strong indeed. Another Nexus, another Nidus rather, on the way for Zananzun. Does GPX recognize it's there? There's no way he can see that. This base is not defended at all. Most of the army here is trying to defend the natural. And again, not much here on the third base either. Another Nidus. Indeed it is, another Nidus here. I like this changeling from Zananzun. No, but the probe scouts it. The probe does actually kill the changeling. It does scout the Nidus network, and the entire army is here. There are stalkers. There are adepts. And no, Zananzun, it was a decoy. I think it was a decoy anyway. He should be bringing units out of this Nidus worm here, and he is. Nidus worm burrowing there and getting one kill. Might get another kill there at the same time, and no, instead is going to try to take down this Nexus all by his lonesome. Another Nidus coming on up the army in response here, just bouncing back and forth. GPX sending all he has to deal with this harassment. Finally able to kill this lurker with the help from the observer overhead, but the second Nidus worm does erupt here, and actually putting some Nidus or some lurkers up along this stretch here. Oh no, all those probes are in so much trouble. Oh, the probe massacre. The probe massacre, ladies and gentlemen. The probes are forced to evacuate there. Again, more queens, more creep tumors being thrown down. A pylon does end up falling. Getting this robotics facility would be very nice, I think, for Zananzun. Where's the army? The transfer of probes is here. The observer's hanging on out. And here comes the army. The army's here. GPX says, how did all this creep get inside my main base? I do not like this at all. Not even one little bit. Queen's trying to pick some stuff off. No, Purification Nova chasing him down and whiffing on both of those. Going back into the Nidus network. And here comes a big warping of Zealots at the third base of Zananzun. There are a couple spines here and some lurkers. Should be able to clean this up fairly effectively, but the Zealots are going right after this hatch. And they're going to go ahead and retreat back into that War Prism where they came from. Overseers here just hanging on out. And again, this pretty much the entire army is inside this Nidus network for Zananzun. So we'll have to see exactly who's going to come out on top here. It is effectively 3 base to 3 base, 55 to 47 harvesters. Another Nidus network coming up here for Zananzun. Lings running on around. They're going to try to get into the space. The army is here to respond, though, for GPX. And the Lings are pretty much throwing their lives away, not killing anything at all, and just getting massacred. The lurkers trying to dodge. No. One Purification Nova does manage to hit. Another one, too. Nope. Ends up missing on that. Canceling some static defense there. And Zananzun is getting a Spire as well as +1 Garon Carapace and +1 missile attack for his army. Another Nidus network is going to go down, though. GPX recognizing a good thing when he sees it, and the army trying to kill these rocks while GPX is out of position. Again, the ability of these Nidus worms to transport around Zananzun's army wherever he wants it is really paying off for him. This is one of the better uses of Nidus networks I've seen in a long time on my channel. Again, not spending his money well at all. Here is Zananzun, 4,000, 2,000. Woo! GPX is doing a little bit better here, but Queen's trying to hold this army off, not going to do a good job of it. The lurkers are right on top of this base, though. Meanwhile, the Queens get surrounded. They retreat to the safety of their Nidus worm and get out of there. The lurkers are trying to use their spine ability, 30 damage versus armored, and they do take down the Nexus there. Oh no, and the Disruptors! Oh, the Disruptors end up falling before most of their Purification Novas can hit. And that's it. GPX is defeated. Zananzun's victorious. And GPX has left the game. Zananzun deciding to finish off these buildings. Very happy with himself on that one. Creating more and more units. For reasons I don't fully understand. Getting mutas out. I'm going to try to clean up this army, but in the meantime, we will wrap it up. So this has been Falcon Paladin with yet another edition of Mid-Rank Madness. I hope you enjoyed yourself today. If you have a replay you'd like to submit that is gold, platinum, what is it? Gold, platinum, diamond. Yeah, gold, platinum, or diamond. Am I missing one in there? I'm pretty sure that's how it goes. Gold, platinum, diamond. Go ahead and send it to me at falconpaladin@gmail.com with the subject of Mid-Rank Madness. And I'll go ahead and get to my screeners, and hopefully we will choose yours next. So again, thanks for watching. You can catch me on Twitter and Facebook, both at /FalconPaladin. And until next time, as always, thank you so much for being here, and you take care of yourself.
Seems like any other summer's evening. But tonight is special. No one knows why the creatures here are so special effects. After 17 years underground,
just to prove her wrong.
Well, just get back to me when you have an answer. Now, just want to be on the telephone.
You know better than to interrupt me. Say I'm busy and hang up.
All sorts of creatures now appear, including some really unexpected ones. They spend their days underground and only emerge at sunset.
About 3 days later, she was good and ready. So she put on about ½ pound of makeup, fixed it up with a veil, and set forth to see the mill in person.
I've waited 20 years for this call. Now the mill can wait until I'm good and ready.
At first, there are merely thousands, but soon more than 1 billion swarm all over the forest. The biggest emergence on the planet is underway. But as night falls, they're transformed. The hunted become hunters.